Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video. More on them in just a bit.
Fantastic Four First Steps spoiler talk today, people. Oh man, there's stuff to go into. Well, we just shot, and so as of this the day, that means yesterday, the Doctor Doom post-credit scene video discussion.
Is it already up?
Should be up.
Okay.
That should be up.
Understood.
That should be up. So you guys can go watch that. We theorized a lot about how that will lead into Doomsday. Kind of landed on a pretty cool theory.
Big moment at the end.
Big moment at the end that we got pretty excited about. Like, wait a minute, this actually makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I would go check that out, please. But we're going to do a deep dive spoiler talk, go act by act here for Fantastic Four. A couple of things. Please leave a like on this video. And we're going to go so deep into this, man. But I also want to say, way to go deep with the Reject Nation is get our new Fantastic Four inspired tee. Look at it, the First Steps shirt. A lot of people chimed in on this one, and hopefully you guys like the way it looks because this was a thoughtful engagement, creative process of how we were going to go about the footprints. So if you buy it, please let us know. Tag us on social media. We also got the classic Richards Road one right here, the Abbey
Fab
Road
Four.
inspired Fab Four, baby. All right, Coy. Are you ready to dive into this?
So excited.
All right. Act 1. Thank God this movie's leaked already. They made it way easier to make the notes for
Really?
this. Yeah.
Oh.
I was like, let me just correct some of these Reddit leaks, and we're good to go.
Breaks my heart.
But apparently this leaked like a long time ago.
Really?
Yeah. I saw the date on it. I was like, oh shit, there's a lot of this came out a while ago. So.
And it was a mistake.
I mean, yeah, some of them are like apparently Herbie died in the original cut or some shit. You know?
Really?
Yeah, towards the end, and like Galactus killed him, and yeah, there's some differences for sure from because the leak is just so accurate, and there was like a few things that were not accurate, and I was like, oh shit, that was what the former cut was like.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but the opening scene of this, I was hooked right away because it had that effect. What you see right there is like, Sue is in the bathroom and she's obviously having like a pregnancy test. You find out that they were trying for a couple of years, but they kind of gave up. Now she's pregnant. Did the pregnancy test say Stark on it? I'm pretty sure it said Stark on it.
Oh, I don't remember.
I think it was like a Stark pregnancy test.
Okay.
Or it's Stork.
Either one is
either
accurate.
one works, but
Yeah.
like it felt like Stark technology pregnancy test.
That would imply that Stark's in their universe, but not as a hero, because they're the only heroes.
Yeah, it could be a Howard.
Could just be a guy.
Yeah, it could be a random
Just
guy.
like, yeah, but I didn't catch it. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think it said that.
Okay.
But either way, like that opening scene immediately endeared me because I was like, oh, thematically, this is a perfect opening scene because it's going to show you who they are as humans, even though they already have their powers. So you're going to see the human side of them, and it's about family right away. How'd you feel with that opening scene?
I loved it. It immediately showed their intimacy, their connection. It made us feel like we were part of the family.
Yeah.
There's nothing more part of the family than like that big moment where the family expands. So
Yeah.
I thought that first dinner was way better in the movie than it was in the trailer. I thought it actually worked like thematically, but also like their intimacy felt more real.
Yeah.
I really thought the Pedro Pascal likability problem wasn't as big of a thing for me as I thought it was going to be. But from the beginning, I was like, I still feel like Reed is a little bit more absent-minded, and that opening scene felt like it was teasing that in a way that I was excited by.
And do you feel like when the movie went along, you didn't get it?
I feel like there were moments that I think as we grow into him as Reed, they can augment them and up them. But I feel like in this first film, they were so focused on making it family, making it welcoming, making it warm. He's a little warmer and a little bit more of a doting kind of very empathetic father.
Sure.
That they were more focused on the first family than on Reed. And that's okay, because it's not a Reed Richards movie. It's a Fantastic Four movie. But that was the opening that I was like, oh, maybe they are going to get to this at some point. I liked that hyper-fixation and focus and being distracted and trying to get his task done.
Well, I feel like with the dinner scene that they go to after the montage, which we will talk about, when they at that dinner scene, that's when I felt like some of the choices started to make sense because Johnny Storm never quite felt like the Johnny Storm that I was reading. I liked what Joseph Quinn did, but it felt like, oh, this was specifically curated for this movie.
That's what I felt about everyone.
Exactly.
And that was okay
including
once I
Reed.
got into the rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. So that and that dinner scene is what sold me on, okay, now I understand. Like they want some characteristics of course, that fully resemble the comics. Yeah. And then there's other parts of their dynamics that are specifically for this interpretation.
And once I clicked into that, it made the movie so much better for me.
Yeah, because
I stand by my concerns because they ended up being valid, but they really worked together well.
Yeah, for the story they served.
Yeah.
Like, because for Johnny Storm, I was thinking about, like, if they just went like fully cocky hotshot guy banging chicks and stuff, I'm like, I'm not sure it would have worked in this movie.
Oh, I think it would have made the third act better.
You think so? With Silver Surfer and stuff? Yeah, probably.
Because then it would have been a sacrifice would feel more impactful. Him becoming someone that would be willing to sacrifice himself would have felt like an arc, as opposed to like in the beginning. I think he would have.
It really canned a lot of that for him, huh?
He was very much, and it's tricky because we're starting negative, but like the movie itself is exceptional and I love it. But the things I thought going into it ended up being true. And it's a testament to how good the movie was that it didn't bother me by the time I clicked in.
True.
So it's praise that I loved the movie so much that the things I was worried about ended up being true, but I didn't think about it.
Yeah. Look, this is going to be the challenge to stay on track, because we had a cool ass montage with the Ted Gilbert show.
Yes.
That was the thing that we predicted too, that we would probably get some type of backstory montage. I loved it, dude.
Oh, dude, I loved all the interlacing and all the multiple frames and how it all.
Remember they created the first comic image at one point, and I like how they did it in a way that actually, like, because the color saturation is very different.
Beautiful, yeah.
But the way they did I was like, I have my DiCaprio moment in the theater. Like Tessa Mama's Geeky was actually like, that's the first comic right there. Yeah, it was a really exciting moment.
It's so special, and they made the storyline make that work. It did not feel out of place. It didn't feel like a gimmick.
No, that whole backstory of being able to show where they went. I like that they actually don't show them in space and get their powers. You're seeing it from the ground level news media perspective.
Yes.
Of when they leave to when they come back, and they're changed people, and the awe of seeing Ben Grimm and like, what the hell is this thing? And the evolution of that, like going to the Fantastic Car, zipping around the city, establishing the retro New York. I was immediately getting swept up in the wonder. It was the close. It started reminding me of the magic of Brad Bird.
Yeah.
Of Incredibles and stuff.
And I immediately felt that this monster from Ben Grimm, like all those images where he just felt like the weight of the world on his shoulders. I really felt the like matriarch side of Vanessa. Like her Sue Storm was so strong and capable and felt like someone that would be with Reed. Mm-hmm. Like their intimacy I bought immediately. I felt like that's a real couple, that they would be together. They make sense together from that opening sequence.
That opening sequence I feel like is one of the coolest things in all the MCU. The montage itself.
Yeah, I think it's the quickest I've ever been like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And like that is a testament to this film's pacing. I think this film's pacing is exceptional. It really puts its foot on the gas so early, but it never feels exhausting.
Yeah.
Like the movie moves.
Now, with Ben's subplot in here of I forget who that character's name is actually. She's not Alicia. But
Natasha Lyonne's character.
Natasha Lyonne's character. The stuff with the kids, I thought that was a really cute thing, and I like how the world. It's a different take as opposed to everyone is afraid of Ben Grimm, which is usually what the live action versions that have been doing. So I like that they skip to this moment in time, and I love what is that? I'm forgetting everyone's name, the actor's name.
Oh, Ebon Moss-Bachrach.
Yeah, I love the performance that he brought to it. Like, because
my God, he's incredible.
Thing is my favorite, and I think he brought all that weight and gravitas. And a common thing I am hearing, and I actually would agree to it, is that there is that very big like sadness and depression of what he's trapped in that I feel like he brought as an actor, and it carries over in his eyes and in his voice. But the movie doesn't really explore much of that with him. And I feel like on the subtext though, especially with Natasha Lyonne's character in the beginning of feeling like, because in the chalk up with Alicia, she's blind, and so she can't see me, so she can be with me because she could just see past this,
right?
But the insecurity of being able to go be with he goes away from this person, because of how he looks. I felt like it's actually brought there when a lot of people are kind of disregarding something like that.
I felt like the combination of that relationship, that subplot, and the moment with him and Reed, when you feel all the guilt from Reed, that he was letting go of the sadness for a moment, I felt like that worked.
What moment are you talking about?
When he tells Reed not to blame himself, like you couldn't have known, like later on in the third act. That to me justified the sadness. That justified like the weight we felt for what Ebon brought.
Right, yeah.
Because clearly it is affecting him. He's looking at himself in the mirror. He's looking at the reflection. He's looking at old pictures of himself. Like, to me, the sadness felt very justified.
bringing it back to the montage. Do you think that Red Ghost was supposed to be in that montage?
100%.
Because they had the apes. You
yeah.
know?
And like they cast John Malkovich. He's in the trailer.
He's in the first trailer, right?
He was in that montage. I think that montage was longer. I think this movie was probably like 220.
I wonder if the first act was supposed to be a lot longer.
Because it would have been really fun to open a movie with like hijinks in the world and a lot of villains.
Like an actual mission that they are doing and not a montage.
I think it was.
Yeah, because why else would you cast John Malkovich? It would have just, I don't feel like you would just cast John Malkovich to be a piece in a montage.
Right.
And then have such a looming, ominous shot of him in the trailer.
And also at the post credit, there's Red Ghost and it's the voice of John Malkovich.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't catch it. I didn't recognize it.
He was still in it, but like clearly there was I think it was supposed to be an opening, a bookend, an opening and a closing with those villains.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense.
Because you have the cartoon
Yeah.
telling the story of the opening.
Yeah.
I think the opening had all of them. I think the Mad Thinker, Wizard, everybody.
Yeah. Oh,
And that would have been awesome.
That would have been really
Because when
cool.
he was pointing at all the villains, I was like, oh, we already live in this world. And it would have established this alternate universe as having like them so fleshed out in 4 years.
Well, they established Mole Man early on, which you have to. It's the old Mole Man's the OG, the original.
Dude, Paul Walter Hauser, he was so good as Mole Man. I loved him.
We'll get to that. I might not fully agree.
Oh,
with
interesting.
It. But they established like the Undercity early on.
I watched her out of the theater, and I know you mentioned your Pedro and that not being a thing. So it's interesting we switched on that.
Okay, yeah. Well, they established the Undercity, which does come into play later on. Do you think they should have spent a little bit more time establishing that?
I think it was like a Chekhov's underground layer where they said it and it's like, well, that'll come back later.
Yeah.
I think it was just enough, but I would have, again, the first act, I would have liked another 10 or 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
I think that would have really made it feel like in another world where the Fantastic Four have been around. Like that was so special. And they did get me to feel like that. I did really feel like they're an established team. They did accomplish it, but I kind of wanted to live that more.
Mm-hmm. I could see that.
But that's also my comic bias. Like I kind of wanted to live in the comics a little bit.
Yeah, and I think because of the comics, I was able to really commit to memory the Undercity part. But I'm wondering for like the average person if that had like little to no impact on them.
Right.
Because in the comics, it's like such a big part. Like eventually, there's like one part of the Hickman run. Mole Man shows up at the Fantastic Four and needs their help.
Yeah.
With what's going on in the city. So I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like it's a big part of the DNA of the Fantastic Four world, but. It just seems like a thing that they just randomly established that they can use
later.
as a plot convenience.
Yeah.
Where they can keep all the cops in Gotham trapped,
Yeah.
like something like that. But I liked, but beyond that, I still thought it was like a great opening sequence. And then the first real scene you get of Human Torch, of Johnny, I thought was a really interesting like deviation for what you're used to with Johnny, which is, he's trying to get a meeting with his own brother-in-law. He's trying to talk to him about the suits, and they establish like this insecurity about him of like disregarded for his intellect right off the bat. What were you responding to when you were first watching that scene?
So I've never thought Johnny was like below average intelligence. I always thought that he was a smart guy around geniuses, putting him slightly, below. But when everyone's at an 11 and you're an 8, great.
Yeah.
Like he's not a dumb guy, but he's impulsive. The hot-headedness is key. So I liked that he was intelligent in this, but I did think that making him as insecure as they were conveying him did kind of undermine the difference between him and the other characters. Like the beauty of Ben's insecurity is Johnny's just as insecure, but he masks it with bravado. So the braggadocio of Johnny is supposed to juxtapose the melancholy of Ben. So when the insecurity of Ben is an outward sadness and Johnny's just kind of, I'm going to do my own thing. It doesn't feel as like they're so disparate. And that affected my experience.
But it's something that grew on you as well. Like, so
the family grew on me. I never felt like Johnny Storm was Johnny Storm. I felt like they did a good job with a story that had Joseph Quinn's Johnny Storm in it.
Yeah. I would agree with you.
And like that's okay because the movie was great.
Yeah.
But like if the movie hadn't been, so I give this 4 out of 5 stars. If the movie had done an arc where Johnny goes from being this crazy impulsive hothead that's willing to sacrifice himself, that is a guy that's dating around and he falls in love with the ultimate girl who happens to be alien, which happens all the time in the comics. If he goes from a guy that doesn't really want to spend his time with his family to developing a Rosetta Stone for language, that's an arc. Instead, you've got a guy that is intelligent, that wants to help, and then does help, that is selfless, that stays selfless. Like, he didn't get the chance to grow. And I think the reason I connect to Johnny Storm and the reason the character is so important to me is if you don't show the hyper masculine, at times toxically masculine, bold bros grow, then the people that identify with those characters don't get to see growth, and then they stagnate and they stay pieces of crap. I used to love the big, bold Stifler characters. Like, Stifler's my favorite character in American Pie. By the time you go from American Pie to American Wedding, he's shown growth. But if you start American Wedding, that's not as dynamic a character. I feel like Johnny Storm is already to the end, so I'm not going to be as invested in his arc. And people that are going through their teens need to identify with the hot rod character to grow themselves. So that was really, I never got to feel the growth of Johnny Storm.
So you were never able to divorce yourself from all this stuff when watching it?
When the scenes were on him and he was funny, I was able to be like, that's charming. Like, but it was charming in a way of like, that's a very good actor doing a very good job. But I never thought like, that's Johnny Storm on screen. With Michael B. Jordan, I did. With Chris Evans, I certainly did. I think Chris Evans as Johnny is an even better casting as Captain America.
Yeah.
Like, he's perfect.
Yeah.
But that's a very different character than the one we got. I think that my biggest flaw in the film is that we didn't trust the audience, or we didn't trust the character to be toxic or overly impulsive or hot-headedness and evolve him, because we're living in a time where those people are kind of running things and those people are already so out there. They were afraid of making the character like that and having him be unlikable. So I think 2025 kind of cost us Johnny Storm a little. And I like what Joseph Quinn did with what he had, and I like what Matt Shakman did with directing it, and I like what the writers did, but it felt like somewhere up top they were like, this character can't be as much like this.
Well, you had like early interactions in Act 1 with him and Ben Grimm. Did you find that back and forth though to be
endearing, but not quite? He was never enough of a nuisance to be a bother to the audience or to Ben. It was always like, once Ben and Johnny fight, they usually resolve their stuff, and then it's like cute bickering. We start there. Like, there was never a moment of like actual brotherly, like, rah. It was always like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It all felt like the third act of a story of Johnny.
Yeah, I think like the family dynamic, I mean, the real character development and stuff is happening with Reed Richards and Sue the whole time. Where I think with like
But
Ben,
you could have had all four.
Yeah, I think you could have had all four. And especially, I think to like hammer home that point of him at the end, like showing like, I'm more than just this dumb guy.
Yeah.
It probably would have hammered home a little
like
bit.
if you start thinking he's dumb and then he shows a smart thing, that's way more interesting than starting him smart
he never really
and then
seems
showing he's
dumb.
smart.
Yeah, he never really seems dumb in the movie. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if you're brave the whole time and earnest the whole time and smart the whole time, you have nowhere to go.
All right, this act by act breakdown's going great.
We're in the first part of the first act.
And we have hopped around like crazy.
Reject Nation, so many of you guys have been so kind to notice that, yes, I've been on quite a health kick this year. I've dropped about 45 pounds so far. Still got more to go because I got some goals in mind. All of it's strictly been from diet and exercise. And when you're committed like that, what you eat becomes everything. And so much of the time I have to be way more selective than my friends and family just to keep seeing the results that I'm after. And that's where something like Factor really comes in to help. And you know, back when I was working from home, Factor was already a big help. Since I'm always on the go, healthy pre-made meals ready in just minutes is perfect. But now that we moved into an official office and I don't have access to my home kitchen, Factor's been even more helpful than ever before. Their meals are chef prepared, dietitian approved, and they cover everything. Calorie smart, high protein, keto, veggie. It's real food made fresh, not frozen, and it actually tastes great. The convenience is really hard to beat. No chopping, no cleanup, just heat and eat. It's that simple. So whether I'm in the middle of work or heading out the door, coming straight here from the gym like I did just now, it's one less thing to stress about. You can head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50REALREJECTS to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50REALREJECTS at factor75.com. Thank you, Factor, for sponsoring this video. And also, my wife, she loves your food too. So thank you so much.
But in Act 2, they cut to a few months later. Sue is like hella pregnant. I love the invention. They had this moment where he's looking at
Oh, it's beautiful.
He's looking at Franklin and with this like type of X-ray looking vision thing where he can see Franklin inside of her womb. it was so beautiful, and it was that rare thing in a movie where I was like, I wish this invention was real.
Yeah, I had the same thought.
I wish that was like you could actually use that. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
And watching how moved that to me, that's a beautiful moment of the power of his. But that was Sue's capability, right? To show that
The invisibility,
the invisibility, the
But
transparency.
he was checking for like radiation,
any cosmic
and
radiation stuff. Yeah.
But she was making herself invisible, and then
Yeah.
you could see the baby, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, I think the way they were illustrating their dynamics there, of how he's just like already the guy who's like so consumed by work and not really tending to his pregnant wife and the way she needs the nurturing. How Herbie's the one creating the crib and stuff.
that human element.
Like he's missing out on all the truly fatherly
And
stuff.
again, those moments really helped me see where we could get with Reed with Pedro.
Yeah, especially when he's like, "Well, Herbie can do that. Only I can do this."
Right.
You know,
That I
only
liked a lot.
My life can do this. I felt a good amount. I thought it was a nice like for an introduction for Reed.
Yeah.
And for a leading man in this universe, you know, and to not go because like Tony Stark is such a narcissist and
Right.
is so egotistical that I wonder if maybe it might have felt a little too similar.
I think they had that problem with Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
with the first Doctor Strange movie, that feeling too much like Tony.
That arrogant ego side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like the arrogance is there, but there's kind of like in a human way where like, cause sometimes in the Hickman run, I would get the sense like, I don't think this guy really like wants to be with his wife.
He's a bit of an aloof dick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like that's how the Maker evolves or devolves.
He's very neglectful with his children.
Yeah.
And
There's none of that here.
there's this, it's more of like you see the actions where he's not as interactive
Yeah.
as he maybe ought to be. And Sue seems to be the one who's like primarily just kind of taking care of a lot of stuff. But anyway, Galactus, I don't know where we're at on the runtime here. This is surprisingly more disorganized than the other stuff we did before. Silver Surfer shows up.
Yeah.
I did see that clip when they released it online. It's a little longer in
Is the voice different?
no.
Okay, because in the trailer I thought it was a lot like more like wob wob wob.
Oh, okay. The clip maybe is the same. Maybe in the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah. What was your impression on your first Silver Surfer moment?
It's the most I like Johnny because it gave me a little sense of that Johnny impulsiveness of, he would be the guy that would fall in love in 5 minutes with an alien. And I was like, oh, this is why you use Shala Bal instead of Norrin Rad. Like, what a great reason to have Shala Bal is the connection between Johnny and her gives him his own journey. He is a guy who canonically has fallen in love with aliens and learned languages and stuff. Like, that's beautiful. And it also gives us a connection to Shala Bal. And I think her being a mother and Sue being a mother becomes really important in the third act. So I really liked her introduction because I was suddenly way more connected to her than like Norrin Rad. I love his stories as an observer. The thing I love about Silver Surfer most is he's a way for us to zoom out and look at humanity from a distance. And the more you zoom out, the more you can realize how small we are. And there's like this observational quality to Silver Surfer. But for this story, you couldn't have the character be an observer. The character had to be engaging. And so I don't know if it's just because I always want to understand how other people think, but as soon as I met her, I wanted to understand her connection to us in a way that didn't feel like an observer. So I liked Shala Bal from the minute we met her because
Yeah.
it felt like it was someone trying to say goodbye. And then her opening line being like, die with your people. Like that was really beautiful.
Yeah, I like that opening scene of Shala Bal quite a bit because it really leans into the side of Silver Surfer that people, I don't even think Rise of Silver Surfer truly leans into, is the threatening, menacing side of Silver Surfer. You know, this like loyalist servant that the impression that you're getting. Yeah, the herald of, and I like how much they capitalize on the herald side. Like it is smart to, instead of going to Galactus planet first, having the herald show up, the warning, build it, because it's doing two things. It's setting up Silver Surfer. It's giving you the impression of Silver Surfer. It's setting up the relationship Johnny will have with her. And it's setting up Galactus.
And giving us a ticking clock.
And I love the way
It's giving us tension.
Yeah, it's giving us tension, that ticking clock. And I love how the Fantastic Four just feel like they got this handled. You know, even when they're traveling in that spaceship. I like how they really treated it like another space launch, and like there's still a fear of like, will the rocket succeed? You know,
that feels so much like the comics.
Yeah.
It's like, and the next issue, they're gonna go find the Silver Surfer. Like, it felt so serialized of like, and their next space adventure. Like, it felt so right. Like the tone of this film was a masterpiece.
What'd you think of that beat of the suits, of like having the suits be developed? There's like kind of a lot of emphasis on that for like Johnny's character.
It felt like there was more there. They cut because it definitely felt like he had asked a bunch of times and then it finally happened. And instead he asked once, then it was like, oh, you did it.
Yeah.
And it felt like Pedro was more aloof and absent-minded in scenes they didn't show us. So when he got the suit, his reaction was really big for having only asked once.
Yeah.
Like I felt like there was more there.
Yeah, I did feel like some stuff was cut. But anyway, when they actually are traveling through, that's what we heard in early social media reactions, that it's like a space movie. And I wouldn't call it space in the way how you would call Guardians of the Galaxy like a space opera. This felt like sci-fi space movie.
Yeah.
And when they do travel, like their own version of warp speed, but using like a wormhole, and then they arrive at this other planet. Like, I love the interaction beforehand where, you know, Reed really feels like he has it covered, and he's just like, if it's a big guy, you can just punch him.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it should be no problem. I like how they're all kind of full of themselves in a way.
And 4 years in, and they've only won, of course.
Yeah,
I loved that.
They've never, and there's like that's a kind of a parallel to like what the Superman movie setup is in a way, right?
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
There's so many of those. Like, I love that this movie uses media in very interesting ways. This movie has the hero already established, and it's another day at the office. This feels like a graphic novel that just dives in. It feels like an Alex Ross painting. This is Silver Age versus Golden Age, but it's using another time. Like, there's a lot of very good storytelling that is trusting the audience to get the language of comics.
Yeah.
And I feel like this sequence especially did that because it's so Kirby. We
think-
meet Galactus, that's Galactus.
I think the only thing that it did differently that perhaps allowed audiences to get on board more for is like, A, they give a backstory, like a clear backstory for them. And then B, they set up their villain differently, you know, instead of just throwing you into like, oh, they're having a thing going on.
Yeah,
you know?
that's fair. We do get introductions to the villains.
Yeah. But the introduction to like the planet with the ship coming out of the planet.
Yeah, dude, that was beautiful.
It was beautiful and scary.
Oh,
I think this is Marvel's best visual effects film ever.
I think other than the baby, yes.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is that I feel like when it's bad, it's noticeable.
Yeah, but when it's good, you don't think of it, and there's a lot you never see.
So much of the movie's visual effects, and it looks incredible.
I think it's their best visual movie.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I would. I could not think of another movie where the visuals were like that good.
I think the subtleties in Iron Man should get some love.
Sure.
2008, it felt like a man could fly in an iron suit, and that's because it was so seamless.
But when you're doing like the space traveling moment, then you go inside of the ship.
Yeah.
It becomes like the tone starts shifting, and then the first time you see Galactus with the flash of the eyes, the scope, the obscurity, and the shadows of him,
and Ralph Ineson, dude, that performance, woo,
amazing. And you could see they're scared, like they were way in over their heads. I thought was so effective. He's actually scary.
He's actually scary.
He was a scary ass moment, and like the request for the child when she's about to have the baby, and then he like kind of attacks her for speeding up her to go in labor.
Yeah,
it was a genuinely like scary. It was a feeling of suspense.
Yeah, and the ticking clock then suddenly.
And that was not an emotion I expected to feel.
And the chase is actually intense. The chase of the Silver
yes.
Surfer, and she's surfing. That was beautiful. She's surfing like a black hole wormhole. That was incredible.
And they're trying to outwit her. And they have like their Star Wars reference where Johnny is like trying to shoot her.
Yeah.
Like, I got one. You know, they do the Star Wars stuff. But yeah, that whole visual painting thing there, it was phenomenal. I was literally in awe.
Yeah, same.
Of how scopic it was.
It's the scene I'm most looking forward to seeing on rewatch. Like that's the scene I'm like, I can't wait to see that on IMAX.
And especially the fact that they leaned into the Herald side. Like, damn, you can't take this bitch down.
Yeah, she was intimidating, and I thought everyone I think predicted like you cast Shala Ball as a way to put Norrin Rad at the end of the movie when they're in a new universe. I thought they had a female Silver Surfer as a way to show that we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
But instead, she was so much more interesting because they did Shala Ball, in my opinion.
I think that whole scene kind of reminded me in a lot of ways of like the opening of the first Star Trek movie with J.J. Abrams too.
I like that.
With the pregnancy and giving birth. And
yeah.
It's like, that's one of my favorite.
Thor was in it.
Yeah, Thor was in it. It's just all the crazy machinations of everything that was going on where Reed is trying to do science and outwit how to freaking stop I like how this movie leans so much into the science of his brain and not so much of the stretching.
Yeah.
And they would still use the stretching. Like when he's doing the science, he's
There's so many
he's
subtle
pushing down
stretches.
Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah.
For the gravity pull.
And he's like, his feet are planted, so he's putting, genius.
And Vanessa Kirby's like performance while she's trying to give birth, but then she's also using the frustration and pain of this to shield them. That whole scene,
and her lack of control, making the light waves manipulate and all that, it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. And then when the baby's born, it's like everyone takes a moment to pause with it. I thought that was it's one of the best scenes in the entire movie for sure.
I think this sequence is some of the best work in the MCU.
Yes,
This sequence is like action, drama, powers being used in a believable way, the importance of the emotional element of birth.
Yeah.
Like this sequence is top notch.
Yeah.
I forgot to breathe a few times, which I don't get as much as an adult. Like when you're a kid and you're so excited, you're like, like I had that happen. Like I was like holding my breath, excited at the birth sequence.
And when they get back to the planet, and it's such a good play on the opening montage and when they leave and they come back and they're heroes and they're celebrated and everyone's kind of expecting the same. And their first question is, tell us how you feel, Galactus. They just assumed. And even though it was spoiled for me, like I assumed that Galactus wanted the baby. Before it was spoiled for me that was his motivation. Man, when it plays out in context, part of my brain's like, you should have told him what Galactus wants.
I was like, why would you say it? They're going to turn on you.
They're going to turn on you. They're going to tell you to give up your baby. Did you not see Squid Game season 3? Like, they're going to tell you to kill the baby.
And now we've got the trolley problem.
Yes.
Which is genius.
Yeah.
Like you literally save one or save a planet, but it's your baby.
But I love the orchestration of how that act unfolds.
Same.
Because it's creating a tension. Like they seem like they were unaware of how they kind of thrived on the public's love of them.
Yeah.
You know, that they fed into it a little bit, you know? It's not something that they were like, oh, we don't need it. But they also cared about the public and they cared about the world. And I think that's the part where they kind of changed some of the arrogance of Reed is they wanted to show he does care about the world and he does care about people. Like this is all stemmed from care. But I like that they brought the menace to that of the society all just being like, just get rid of your goddamn baby, you know?
Yeah.
Because I can see from if I'm just in the crowd and I'm hearing the planet's going to do, it's like, dude, you just had the baby, give it up, you know?
Yeah.
I actually could fathom being that. And I loved that Reed.
Ethical, like his speech, and I was like, and those were the moments I was like, that's Reed.
Yeah.
My problem was that moment felt so authentic, and then when we didn't get to live in it long, it felt like, we're losing that thread. Like those threads set up the maker beautifully. And I do think we're going to see more and more of that. And again, for this movie, you've got to make him approachable. I think the problem with Reed is he's not an approachable character, so they had to make him the most approachable version of himself.
Yeah.
So I have way less problems. I think Pedro Pascal did an amazing job for making this Reed work.
But you also have to see why Sue would be with this guy
100%.
and stay with this guy.
Yeah, because if he's a dick, then and when you meet Namor, you're like
the most emotional moment for me, a lot of people probably have like I heard people crying when they thought Sue Storm was dead. That argument was the most emotional moment for me.
Really?
It was the line that I forget what the line was that Vanessa Kirby said. It was like something about like the way you think hurts me, you know, or the way who you are. Like, yeah, something about that. But you being you hurts me. Like that hit home.
Yeah.
In ways of like thinking of past memories. I think we've all kind of felt that in a way.
Sure.
Of like, just who I am as a person internally is hurting someone else. Yeah. But to actually hurt the one you love without with just your own thoughts. You haven't actually done anything.
Right.
You know?
I'm just being, I'm existing. I'm so sorry.
I just had a thought, you know? It was so real to me. And I love the juxtaposition of how the opening scene is them in a similar room and setting, and it's all love, but the baby's not there. Now the baby's there. He's not even like, and all this, and all that with all the hatred toward Franklin, you're never seeing Reed pick up Franklin. The entire time, you're not seeing him pick up his own child.
And then the moment they start to show you that connection, you're like, oh, wait, I have been missing this. This has been absent.
Yeah. But the speech that Vanessa Kirby gives to the public.
I think Vanessa Kirby I think they started casting with her. I don't know the actual true story, but I heard she was the one they cast around, and I see why. Like, she is so incredible in this. Like, Sue Storm is, I mean, this might be my favorite.
I like it more than any of the comics I read from her.
Yeah, I was gonna say this might be my favorite Sue, and
Yeah.
I was mathing it out. I think this is my favorite Sue Storm
Yeah.
because it feels like the character, but it feels like such a perfect version of the character.
Like Vanessa Kirby is very beautiful and is a very attractive person, and I don't need a bunch of people like gawking at her. And, you know, like I feel like that's usually she becomes like a sexual object.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You know, and not all like from most of the comic, I wouldn't say that's the case, but I don't even find her particularly interesting in the comics. You know,
and that's a problem.
She's mainly just like the wife.
Yeah.
Or she becomes some type of subject, like, hey, you're the queen of Atlantis now.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Congrats.
Yeah. Just like given a position and stuff, but
Yeah.
here the expansion of her, the way the fact that they're this deep into her power set and she's able to use these powers in a way that's more than she just turns invisible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene where she's smart enough to do, and it shows the husband and wife delineation between them. I think of Reed sucks at empathy. Reed sucks at human
He's
emotion.
math. He's just logic.
But her maternal instinct goes, I'm going to go out there with my baby, which is scary as
All
shit.
emotion.
It's
not
yeah.
logical.
It's not it's not logical.
And that
because-
line from her when she says, like, I will not give up my baby for the world, but I will not give up the world for my baby. I was like,
boom. Yeah.
you did it. You
Great
did the
line.
ship of Theseus.
Yeah.
Between that and the lever, I was like, Matt Shackman done his WandaVision
Yeah.
dialogue shit. Like, so good.
And that's one of my favorite parts about this movie is the constant back and forth of like the alley-ooping her and Reed have with one another.
Yeah.
Of like when Reed might have a thought and then she'll know what the thought is without him having to say it, or she might say something which gives Reed the thought. You
Yeah.
know? The constant feeding to each other.
And that's a good relationship. That's a good couple.
As a couple, the movie really sold me on that. And yeah, that moment where she's connecting to the public, I was scared for, like, you're putting your baby at risk. You don't know whether your baby has powers. What if they try to attack your baby right now? But the trust in the public and the way, like, I mean, sure, like it's romanticized. Like, would everyone really turn? Of course not. Of course not. But they're the Fantastic Four.
Spider-Man sees a New Yorker. If you hear one of us, we're one of you.
Yeah.
That kind of like, we let that go.
I understand that, but it's like the cheese of it I buy, of everyone turning around on it because of the world that they establish and how much this world is so dependent on Fantastic.
Yeah.
Because the world doesn't feel like they have any other heroes but the Fantastic Four.
They shut down the power of the planet.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, London. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was a great showing of like their importance.
Yeah, I like how the teleportation thing did come back, because I wasn't sure how that was going to come in. I was like, oh, is this how they're going to get? Like, is the movie going to end with them coming to our Earth that way?
Yeah, same.
That's what I
was
thought they were
like,
saying.
and then it was like teleport the whole planet. That seems crazy. They're like, how do you have enough power on a thing to move the thing? So I love what it ends up being.
Yeah.
Like that was such a great bait and switch.
You see, that's the thing with the trailers, though. It does show you Galactus is coming. It does show you all that stuff. So you're like, well, this is obviously not going to work in some way. So I'm just waiting for it to go wrong. But to the movie's effect, to the movie's credit, man, did it sting when Silver Surfer shows up in the last couple seconds and just starts wrecking shit. Like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, you're like, we finally did it. We figured it out. And the movie's moved so fast at this point. You don't realize where you are in the watch time. You don't know if the movie's almost over. And then all of a sudden you're like, no, we were almost there.
Yeah, and I love that it still had the effect, even though I'm like, well, obviously not going to work. I saw the trailer. Galactus is going to show up and they have to fight him, right? Like, I know that's not going to happen. But it still had the impact of that. And I like how it led to whatever Johnny was discovering with decoding the language.
I loved that subplot, especially because it feels like Johnny. But I would have liked a little bit more time between the two of them somewhere, because I really liked the two of them.
Yeah. I still think the scene though is so effective when he does like connect to her,
100%,
because she's clearly lost sight of who she was and why she did this to begin with.
Yeah. And that's why I think it needed to be Shia LaBeouf, not Norrin Rad.
Yeah,
because that connection was really beautiful.
And while that was like the predictable, it was a Silver Surfer, so you know that turn has to come.
Right.
The emotional impact of it, and to go to her planet for a brief second to show her relationship with her daughter.
I thought Julia Garner did an incredible job to be like, that's not an easy performance. You're under so much.
Yeah, that was great. That was really great. And also the thing with the Thing's beard. That's when the CGI I thought it looked a little wonky on him, but I like that he did it because Johnny thought it was cool.
I love that so much. I think a couple scenes of Johnny being a cool guy would have helped. You know what I mean? Like him showboating, him like popping around town. Like his movie starness, I think would have made the beard moment even bigger. I think it would have made Ben trying to get approval a little bit bigger. I just wanted a little bit more of the Johnny like pizzazz around town, because we're talking a lot about the relationship between Sue and Reed, but the relationship between Johnny and Sue and Johnny and Ben, those things I could have used a little bit more, so that way the whole 4 feels like all those relationships.
Yeah.
Because it's about the 4 of them, and I do feel like it was 2 leads, 2 supporting.
I wouldn't contest that. Yeah.
I think there are comics where it feels like the 4 of them.
I think there's like little arcs for them. You know, like Johnny seems like he's actually respected for his brain, because I did love the line of like he can barely speak like
I love those
the
hilarious.
English line.
That's such a good
He barely
bit.
comprehends the English language or something like that. That was a really funny line. And the humor too. That's another thing. I didn't even talk at all about the humor. I think the humor is really well done.
It's such a funny movie.
It's a funny movie, but it never feels like that Marvel humor.
It did all the summer blockbuster things. It had drama, it had fear, it had emotion, it had humor. Like this is
Spectacle,
like a
Summer blockbuster.
Spielbergian.
Yeah, no, there's wonder and awe throughout the whole thing, for sure.
And like you get like the interstellar visuals, you get like the drama, but that's what comics can be when you have that human connection to extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I really, I'm appreciating the second half of second act more, because my first impression when I was first watching it, because I was aware like the finale had to come.
Sure.
I was a little bit anxious, and I was like, this is kind of like I don't remember when. There's like certain moments where like, are they kind of dragging out this finale, this lead into the finale a little bit? I started feeling that a little bit, but the more we're like talking about it, the more I'm appreciating, like, because I knew I liked all this stuff already, but the more I'm like, maybe I liked everything about it, and we didn't need all this stuff. Because when I could tell the teleportation thing wasn't going to work, I started thinking, they're kind of dragging us out a little bit. But
I think it was worth the tension, personally, and I loved the building stakes to get like her to the point where she's a cornered, woman with her baby.
Yeah,
because that emotion was so worth it.
And I love how she knew that was Reed's plan, and her reaction to that.
Yeah.
Is when she's like, I know. And then she like goes invisible, hides.
Yeah.
Like where she knows that's the only solution, that this isn't because Reed had a thought.
It's not his logic brain. Yeah. This is the solution.
This is the only way.
Yeah.
This is the way. It's the only way. And I love how she comes to that realization. Yeah, Vanessa Kirby's incredible.
Dude, I was so impressed.
Yeah, she was really, really good. I like how that's another thing too, is that for female audiences, they really connect with Lois Lane and they really connect with Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah,
and
we have 2 very good female leads.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. And then when they go into the finale with the teleportation and go into the Galactus fight, wow, that spectacle was awesome.
Yeah,
it is scary, and I thought and we joked about it a little bit earlier, but the stretching of Reed in that moment. It was clever, because that's his ability.
But
and they
when
made
it's
it
manual,
torturous.
But when it's not by his choice, you felt every bit of that. And I love that his clothes got tattered because like the way it was done. Like Galactus worked better here than I ever dreamed we'd get in a movie.
It's surprising how well he worked. Yeah.
Because when he's interacting, he's scary. When he's just an ominous looming threat, he was scary. I thought one or the other would work.
Yeah.
I thought Galactus, big enough to devour planets, would be an ominous looming presence as like an existential crisis of dread, or when he was Godzilla stomping around the city.
Yeah.
I didn't think both would work. Yeah. Both worked.
It was our kaiju.
Yeah.
It reminded me of like Godzilla 2014, but you could see him the whole time.
But usually Godzilla can't be a celestial too.
Yeah.
Like, usually you can't, then they did it.
Yeah.
And Silver Surfer worked.
But before that, the part that I said we talk about, when they had to move everyone to the Undercity for Mole Man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What you got? What's your problem, my boy? Mole Man.
I enjoy Paul Walter Hauser.
He's a delight.
But I saw someone playing a character in that moment, Like I'm a huge Cobra Kai fan.
Yeah.
Love him in Cobra Kai.
Stingray.
Think he's great at Stingray. Really believe him as Stingray. But in that moment, because he only really gets one scene, a true one scene, right?
3.
He's got 3 scenes. They kind of cut to him, but this is like
but the opening is like him getting introduced.
A couple lines.
Then he comes to the house.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Comes to the house
and then they've got the underground scene where he's shepherding everybody.
Yeah, but
he's literally like, take your shoes off. I'm just kidding. It's all dirt.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know.
But again, I don't know. I love Paul Walter Hauser.
There's something about I felt like I was watching Paul Walter Hauser play. That was the one time where I felt like I wasn't watching a character in this world. I was watching an actor play a character in this world. And not that I'm like super invested in Mole Man as like one of my favorite
You
characters
know, my
in the
favorite
world,
D-list villain, Mole Man.
Yeah, but he's a legacy character for the Fantastic Four world.
Certainly.
But that was my little side tangent on that. But on the finale of that, I did think of the way how it was smart to get them all out of the city. The way they made that work was a really smart maneuver. And the battle sequence I thought was really intense and smart. Like even the lure with Franklin there temporarily.
Yeah.
Franklin to be terrified adds to the emotional stakes. So you're like, oh, that fucking poor
It's a
baby.
baby.
Yeah, that poor baby. Just like that's so sad. I like how it wasn't just a baby like,
It was like a crying, oh my God, baby.
Yeah, normally a movie doesn't make that choice.
Yeah.
And they normally are just like aloof or
Yeah.
like, oh, what's this?
I'm
Yeah,
fine.
my baby. Yeah.
Give it a doll.
But the baby was terrified.
Yeah.
And when they switched it out, I did, as an audience member, because of how Galactus found Franklin.
I was like, there's no way.
I was thinking, like, wouldn't if Galactus steps in this is like kind of dumb because that's how we found the. And so when the movie does it, I'm like, oh, thank you.
Oh, good. You're
Yeah.
smart enough to know we would know.
Yeah, and it was a great like visual representation of like don't step on the tripwire, the
Yeah.
shotgun wire,
And then to use all their powers, like, them working together as a team, really for the first time we see with their powers was so beautiful.
And when he does take Franklin, it is a terrifying moment because you do feel for the baby, and the fact that the baby is scared and crying really has you feel for him. Even as someone who knows, even as an audience member, if you don't know Franklin Richards, you're probably like, the baby's probably going to be fine.
Still a baby.
It's
There's
still
a
a baby.
human instinct of like, that's a baby.
Even as a person who knows the comics and know Franklin's a super being.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, this is still scary.
Yeah.
And it shows the immediacy effect.
And that what is more family than them all protecting the baby. And I
Yeah.
love that. Like there's so many family dynamics in this film that they explore perfectly. The brother-sister dynamic, the adopted brother dynamic, the wife-husband dynamic, the parent dynamic, like all of this feels like family, and then you up the stakes by having the baby get kidnapped. And it's like we talked about in the post-credits, you watch that video, the immediacy of like the, oh my God, the invasiveness, I'm protective over this baby I just met.
Yeah.
So beautifully done.
And when he does capture the thing, Johnny Storm, it's different in the trailer. He's not fully engulfed in flames in the trailer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I noticed that shot detail.
I wish I hadn't seen, I think I saw a clip, I don't know if it was in the second trailer, but with him saying like, say the thing, because that was such a cool moment. And I was like, I know they're going to say the thing about saying the thing.
Yeah.
Like they gave away the clobbering line punch, like they gave away the setup.
Yeah.
And the punchline was great.
I feel like you shouldn't have heard anyone say it's clobber. Even the guy in the New York City street in the beginning says,
I think we were all
it's
waiting.
clobbering time. I feel like we shouldn't have heard anyone say it.
Yeah, because it was a great payoff.
They should have just had him say the thing. I think if they just left it at that, by the time, even if they only left it at that and you don't hear anyone say it's clobbering time, then that would have been even cooler.
Yeah, but I did like when he said it. It was a nice moment.
Of course. Yeah.
Like it was awesome.
Yeah, it was a cool moment of him embracing it and becoming the hero. And I like that Johnny used that moment for it. And yeah, when they're and when Sue is, what would compel Sue more than anything to drain herself of that power? You need the motivation for that, and that was like seeing your baby in hand. I like that demonstration of that power, and that sucks the life force out of her. Then it was selling me on like I wasn't sold that she was gonna die. Clearly from hearing like a lot of other people in the crowd. I feel like I heard a lot of people crying in that moment. For sure, I heard people next to me crying a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But what did you think of that moment when Sue?
You know, it was funny the movie got me enough that there was about 10 seconds I was like, are they going to another multiverse to find another Sue Storm? Like, because of Thunderbolts. So for a fraction of a moment, I was like, that'd be weird because that'd be like a stepsister. Like, I was thinking like it'd be like finding a surrogate, not like
another Gamora situation.
Yeah, and for a moment I was like, did they kill Vanessa Kirby? And I was like, because her performance is so good, it's kind of the James Gunn thing where you like make the character super likable before you kill him. I was like, with this whole movie making us love Sue Storm to kill, like for a fraction of a second, I believed it, and that's great writing. That's a great movie. When I was like, did they just no? And the fact that I had a second of that means I was in.
I felt. I don't know, maybe because I've been so indoctrinated in the comics in the last couple of months, I was like, well, Franklin's going to resurrect her, right?
Yeah. What's great is I was so invested that I forgot Franklin was there.
Yeah, my mind, these past few months, my mind is just unbelievably racing thoughts. So I'm like zip-zapping around, and my mind's in like my mind's in past, present, future.
Well, no, that's I mean, good because that means you're very aware.
Yeah.
But I was like so emotional I wasn't aware, which is nice.
I would rather have that.
Yeah.
I'd rather have that experience.
As I get older, I get more emotional, man. You might even get me crying out of reaction one of
Hell
these days.
yeah.
I got really emotional in Superman. I got fairly emotional in this. Like it's they say as you get older, you get weepier, and it's happening.
That's interesting. So what's happening? Notice that with on a very generalization spectrum, like men are getting softer and women are getting tougher.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really noticing.
I think women are having to,
Yeah.
and I think men are.
I mean, like more externally, overtly.
No.
Yeah,
So I mean, I think women are having to,
Yeah.
but I think men are finally getting role models that are saying it's okay to.
yeah.
And that's why I know I'm going to get guff about my Johnny Storm thing. But my thing is that he should get there, not start there.
Yeah, I feel you.
You know what I mean? So like the emotionality, I would love that we're getting that with men, and I love that we're embracing that. And I agree with you. I think that is happening. But I also think like 36-year-old me is much more like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm on the back nine. It's not going up from here. So like there's an awareness, and I also think there's like an emotionality of like I really look forward to being a father. And so I love that Superman was about being a son and about that connection to family. And I love that my next most comic book movie was the other great family dynamic of being a parent.
It was also like being a supportive husband,
Yeah.
you know? And yeah, that moment when Pedro was like breaking down, I like that they let only, I had a split second where I was like, wouldn't Johnny be crying his eyes
They
out
let him
too?
well up.
Yeah, but like, that's her sister.
Yeah.
But I like that they kept it focused more on Pedro and didn't, like, because it might have taken away the moment.
If they were all like in the same
You know, like,
level of-
yeah, like Pokemon the first movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all like they're all like freaking out about it. But no, that moment was it was still very strong. I like how you only get like a shade of light
Yeah.
from Franklin's hand,
And then like as soon as I saw Franklin, I was like, oh. But for a
Yeah.
moment, my comic brain turned off, and that's the highest praise I can give this movie.
absolutely. Well, the emotionality too of like him going over and knowing he can save her.
Oh, and also Pedro just being like, say bye to your mother.
Yeah,
That was crazy.
yeah,
Like before my comic brain kicked in, I was like, dead body.
yeah.
Oh, you're saying bye to your mother. And then I was like, oh, right, Franklin Richards. But the movie's so good that my brain didn't go Franklin Richards. It went, say bye to your mom.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Do you think in the Ted Gilbert show of them not being there for when the curtains open, is there some type of symbolism to that or some arc, or is it just a funny thing?
I saw it as like they're the world's protectors. They're never at rest. Like to me, it was like back to work, another day at the office. Like to me, it was like, you know, we are always doing this. We don't have time for
Yeah.
just being on.
Okay.
That's how I saw it.
So something simple. Well, I love the moment that followed it with the whole like them trying to figure out the car seat. It's such a dad's uncle's moment of like the
three of them and her just holding the baby.
Yeah,
That's a good sound.
There's the most human. Like, oh yeah, I've seen this. I've seen
And
this.
those, dude, have you ever worked one of those?
They're a pain in the ass.
It's insane.
They're a pain in the
it
ass.
takes that long.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I love that.
I even love like the 3, 2, 1. It's so funny.
So good. No, this movie's amazing.
Even
Like,
the usage of the Fantastic Car in the finale was awesome.
Yeah.
With Sue driving and
oh
stuff.
man,
yeah.
I was like,
Yeah. it
Matt
was
Jackman
awesome.
is such a good director.
He's a great action director.
Yeah. And he's mainly TV until now. Like I want him to do so many things. Like this is
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, he's really
I think it's my number 13 Marvel movie. Like it's up there.
God, you're so good at these numbers and rank. I have no idea where it would be for me.
It's like right between it's just after Black Panther and it's dancing around Homecoming.
Okay.
And Black Panther's my number 10. So it's in that 10 or 11 to 13 range.
I wonder where it'll be for me if I prefer over Superman and when I watch it the second time. I feel like I was just weeping so much during Superman. So like emotionally, I was so enveloped in Superman.
I consider Superman revolutionary and I consider Fantastic Four evolutionary. And so both are amongst my favorite things, but I never thought we'd get the Superman movie we did. I always hoped we'd get this Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
But since we'd gotten other Fantastic Fours that got close, and since I didn't grow up on Superman 78, that hit me way more.
Yeah.
Because it was like a new thing.
Yeah. I think as a movie, this plays smoother.
I think it's a more structure, like it's more of a traditional movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But part of what I like about Superman is its erratic 5-act structure.
Me too. The thing that people don't like,
Yeah.
I'm
That's the delight. I really like-
I feel like that's kind of the point. Yeah, I like that.
So that's tricky because I
Yeah.
can't really, that's an apples to oranges of like your goal in a
Yeah.
film. But like, I think two of the best comic movies of the last 5 years came out 2 weeks apart.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And
they're so tonally similar about
yeah,
family and hope.
exactly. And I like how it's playing to a very specific type of sensibility.
Yeah.
And it's not going for like there's deep emotion, but it's not going for the heavy.
It's not saccharine. It's not over the top or cloying.
Yeah.
It's just good, raw emotion.
Yes, it was an interesting discussion.
I feel like we got back on track. We went beat by the end there.
Yeah, I think we did.
I'm wondering how people like a structured review. I don't think we've ever done this before.
Yeah, you gotta break some eggs.
Mix
you
it
gotta,
up.
You gotta fail
See what they
sometimes.
like.
And you gotta.
I did start with some negative, and that's I was worried if we should restart because I was like, we never restart. But I just dove into my concerns, and I'm afraid people are like, oh, DC shill hated it, Marvel, blah blah blah. But like, I loved the movie.
Yeah, maybe, but maybe it'll create more engagement.
That's what matters.
Or maybe people, or make the watch time on this super short because you were so negative and you didn't stick to the Act 1 structure.
I dove
and
right
you
into my
hopped
vitriol.
Too much around the arcs here.
We had to stick to the script.
Come on, Coy.
For the company. I mean, I think this is like a 4 out of 5. It's really high. It's an A- for me. I really don't know what I mean, the things I said I'd change are the only things I'd really change, and those are small. And it is the most I've looked forward to the future of the MCU since between Endgame and Infinity War.
Me too.
Like, that is such a beautiful feeling again.
I think this it did its job on how it's going to create theory. Like, people are going to theorize what's going to happen next, and
I love that it stayed in its own universe.
Yeah,
I love that it did not end bleeding into ours. I love that at no point was I like, next time on Marvel, I got to be like, oh, what's going to happen with them?
Yeah, it's like going to be the opening of Doomsday.
Yeah. And like the trilogy idea, like, I think that's really exciting. I mean, watch our post-credit video, but there's so much to theorize on for the next year. And that next year is Doomsday. Like, we're in that year countdown.
Yeah.
That's crazy. A year from now is Brand New Day, and a year and a half from now is Doomsday. And we actually get to be like excited about it. Because to me, it's been like, okay, what's next? Oh, that's next. I wonder how that connects. But now I'm like, oh, like, I want to like read and like I've got all that jazz again. Because I think also the 1-2 punch of Thunderbolts in this. Yeah. I think Thunderbolts was exceptional now that you've seen it. And I think that was more of a kind of consolidating of what we've had in phases 4, 5, and now going into 6. This feels like a launch. And that's always going to be more like, look up. That's always going to be more like driving forward momentum.
And I think the Thunderbolts post-credit scene is actually smarter in retrospect. Because it is making it very clear to the audience that, like, while Fantastic Four is a standalone movie, while it takes place in a different universe, while they never come to Earth 616, don't worry, they will. Yeah.
And what I love most is every single one of us went, why would they spoil Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
And they didn't.
And they didn't.
Like, that's amazing.
It's amazing.
Like, they did so many magic tricks. They didn't.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for our Fantastic Four spoiler talk. I wish you could be for the live.
Me too.
But
I'm going to be deeply in San Diego. And it's Saturday. Yeah, I'm going to be like so busy. Well, it's going to be fun.
We'll cover the Peacemaker trailer without you.
Yeah. I'm down there in part for Peacemaker. So I'll probably watch it in real time. Hopefully with John Cena.
Still a show.
I know. Even on a Fantastic Four video. Watch Peacemaker Season 2, August 21st. Only on HBO Max.
August 21st, Peacemaker. Keep a lookout. What was your favorite part of Fantastic Four? Do I need this call to action?
What was your favorite part? Can't ask the people and not have an answer, Greg.
My favorite part would be... It might be Galactus's open first scene.
Yeah.
I think it's his first scene. Like, I was so in awe with the horror and the cosmic side of it, and like the whole sequence is amazing, but that first scene is such a shift.
Yeah.
You know, and it has such an impact. But man, I love that montage. But but a scene, I'm like, that scene really hit me. Yeah.
So like when they get to his planet and you see him.
Yeah, because they're like terrified of him and stuff like that. Yeah, I really love that. That might be my favorite scene, or I don't know. I think we talked about so many great moments and scenes. It's hard for me to depict, but my mind keeps going there. When you ask me that, as my mind's racing, it just keeps going like. So I'm like, it must be that.
I think mine's the next scene. But it's tricky because if I start there, I'm even happier to say it. But like the chase and the birth and the black hole, like that sequence
might be it. Yeah, that
but
might be
if we if we zoom back 5 minutes and add Galactus to it, But
I guess
how rare?
the whole visit to Galactus sequence
Yeah.
is the best part of the movie to me. Yeah.
But how rare is that like the second act? Like that's also cool formatting wise.
Yeah.
Like the second act is never like, you know what, I love the second act.
Yeah.
But like that's an incredible thing. And it's not like the first or third are bad, but that's an incredible sequence.
Incredibles.
Fantastic.
Peacemaker, August 21st. See you guys.